In the vast reaches of the astral sea, the Moon Claw leads a fleet of spelljammers, each straining under the weight of a colossal mission. At the heart of this fleet, Argonax, a young lunar dragon, directs the operation with fierce determination. Their goal? To extinguish the sun itself. Behind them, a planet-sized ball of ice, cold, unyielding, and forged from the farthest reaches of the astral plane, tows through the void. The icy orb is a weapon like no other, and it will be hurled directly at the sun itself to snuff out its blazing light. The lycanthropic crew, wolves, bears, and panthers, works in seamless coordination. In their human forms, they are warriors, but in their beast forms, they are unstoppable. Their eyes gleam with the primal fire of the moon as they haul the massive ice ball, their every moment driven by the weight of their purpose. Fenric, a direwolf lycanthrope, stands at the helm, guiding the fleet with unerring focus. His senses track the path, his eyes locked on the sun, growing ever closer. Argonax's wings unfurl, its draconic gaze fixed to the sun's burning heat. With a deep, resonant roar, the fleet surges forward, the ice ball trailing behind, ready to strike. The icy orb flares with power drawn in from the gravity of the sun, and for a moment, the universe itself holds its breath. Will the icy fury at the Moonclaw and its fleet be enough? The sun falters, its light dimming, but the outcome remains uncertain. Only the stars know what happens next. So today's video is on the Lunar Dragon. First, let's go over what Boo tells you. So Boo tells us that lunar dragons are evil and xenophobic creatures that lair in far-flung moons by tunneling into the rock. Lunar dragons are said to enjoy stealing treasure, more to deprive others of the items rather than hoarding the loot for themselves. It's said that most lunar dragons' hoards contain one or more spelljamming helms, taken from ships that dared enter its territory. Lunar dragons are said to have the ability to become partly incorporeal, where the dragon's body is said to have a dark spectral form. The stat block says that ancient and adult dragons can phase like this thrice a day and gain resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, whereas young and wormling lunar dragons can phase like this twice a day. In preparation for laying eggs, lunar dragon mothers are said to have stock-ups on food and won't leave their lair until the lunar dragons are old enough to fend for themselves. Lunar dragon eggs are said to be stony in texture and color pale white to grey. Lunar dragon scales, that is the ones that have been born and are living, are alabaster white when they're born, and they lose the color and darken with age. Ancient lunar dragons are said to look like the color of slate. Lunar dragon lairs are said to be spacious with room for food, as well as one or more hidden chambers for treasure. Each lair is different based on the composition of the moon itself. Some lairs have natural springs with water flowing, some have heat vents, or even have crystal formations. Lunar dragon breath attacks are cones of cold damage which reduce the target's speed. Lunar Dragon regional effects are flavorful and thematic, ranging from layers of black frost and a haunting moan to moon devils, quote-unquote moon devils. They are kind of like a free-willed cold damage wielding elemental. They use the stat block of an air elemental, but they deal cold damage instead of bludgeoning damage. It's interesting. And then for stats, there are 4 stat blocks depicted in Blue's Astro Menagerie of the 4 ages of Lunar Dragon. The strongest of these is the Ancient Dragon. It's only CR 19. As far as I can tell, it's the lowest CR of any Ancient Dragon in 5e. The stats that distinguish the Lunar Dragon from other dragons, I would say, are their innate burrow speed of 20 feet, which also allows them to burrow through solid rock at half that speed. The limited partial phasing that they can do, and their breath weapon slowing the target. The ancient and adult dragons also possess legendary actions. The most interesting option, in my opinion, is the quote-unquote treacherous ice, which creates a 20-foot radius circle of ice on the ground, which counts as difficult terrain. What about in previous editions and what Boo doesn't tell you? So, in previous editions, lunar dragons, or moon dragons as they were known, went through quote-unquote phases like our Earth's moon. These changes occurred over 30 days, affected the dragon's alignment. Every 7 days, there's a black shadow that moves over the lunar dragon's body, and every 15 days, the dragon alternates from fully white to fully black. When the dragon is fully black, it's said to be at full strength and is chaotically evil aligned. When all white, the dragon is said to be lawful evil, and between these phases, either white on black or black on white, the dragon is neutral evil. Much like our own moon, lunar dragons also have an effect on lycanthropes. When the lunar dragon is all white, lycanthropes were said to change into were form and be magically charmed by the dragon. In previous editions, the dragon's breath cone was 140 feet long, which is 50 feet longer than what's presented in 5e. And the effects of their breath weapon were also different. In previous editions, the breath encased the victim in ice, and after a short time, they would begin to suffocate unless someone frees them. So, in conclusion, the options presented in Boost, in my opinion, it's a fair compromise on earlier iterations. It's not in the spirit of modern roleplay to completely disable characters by encasing them in ice. Additionally, the changing of alignment and appearance of lunar dragons presented in previous editions is admittedly thematic and flavorful, but it's a chore to track. The one change I would make to the edition in 5e is to add their ability to charm lycanthropes. I can imagine, a spelljammer helm captained by a lunar dragon, crewed by were-tigers, werewolves, were-rats. It can be flavorful and thematic. The dragon as a whole is a tad underpowered, but I can see the use cases for a less powerful ancient dragon. It's true that not every dragon needs to be on the same strength and CR, but what the dragon lacks, the lunar dragon that is, lacks in muscle, it doesn't make up for in social options, like with metallic dragons. I'd like to change that all lunar dragons maybe have a cult of lycanthropes or other light forms like kobolds or lizard folk which serve it. This is the first time that I'm giving a dragon below a 10, but honestly I'm so underwhelmed by the 5e take on it, I'm giving this monster a 7 out of 20.